Good morning and welcome into the Steven Singer Studios. My name's Marc Farzy. This is a little show we like to call the Farzy Show, ladies and gentlemen. We got a special guest today. Ryan Spaeder will join us, a baseball writer, friend of the show. I've interviewed him a couple of different times. Nice guy, interesting guy, I'll say that much. And he just went scorched earth yesterday when it came to all things Major League Baseball and players attempting to cheat or players cheating or players just trying to gain an edge with the new sticky substance ban. And then today, also, there was that Sixers game last night. I did something that I'll tell you right now out of the gate, I don't like doing. And I rarely do it. I've done it one other time when the Eagles traded Carson Wentz. And I did it that time because there was an urgency. Things needed to be said. Emergency show, right? One of those things like, someone's going to keel over if I don't talk into a microphone. But nonetheless, and I'd say that sarcastically, but nonetheless, I decided that I need to jump back on with you guys last night after the Sixers game. And the reason I really don't like doing that is because I find that this is the time for the show. We do the live show from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. and then it's available throughout the day. And I never want to cheat my audience. I never want to treat you fine people or cheat you guys out of raw emotion. And sure enough, I do the show last night. We did maybe a half hour, and it's raw emotion. And I'm like, I got done. I hit the off button, right? And I went, man, I hope I don't lose that in the morning. And let me tell you right now, I haven't. Oh my God, I have not lost it. And I knew that just kind of starting to talk about it again, it would put the quarter back in the machine. The 76ers and their last 4 quarters of second half basketball have been atrocious. Absolutely 100%. No excuses welcomed. No optimism welcomed. Atrocious. I still can't believe what we saw last night. I can't believe what we saw in game 4. And I sure as hell can't believe that we saw it again in game 5 last night in South Philadelphia. A crowd that no doubt brought it. I was looking at our friend John Clark report on the crowd, and like everyone was just going bonkers before the game. The Hawks were up against that last night, and you couldn't find a way to put a win in front of those people, and you found a way yet again to collapse in not just second half, but more specifically speaking, the fourth quarter, where you scored just 19 points and allowed the Atlanta Hawks to score 40. And Ben Simmons throughout the entire game goes 4 for 14 from the free throw line. I never thought in a million years, and we got into this last night and get into it again. I never thought in a million years I'd be begging for the 50%, maybe 60% free throw shooter that Ben Simmons has been throughout his career. And now we're dealing with a 25% free throw shooter. Now we're dealing with that. Are you serious? This guy's an all-star. I was just coming into terms this year was saying, you know what? No, it's good. It's good that Ben Simmons is a 3-time all-star. And you know what? I am reverting so quickly back to no, it's not. You know why? Because it just makes it feel like everything's fine. Like missing free throws, shooting the basketball 5 times through all of last night and the fourth quarter of game 4. Shoot, your point guard, your facilitator, a guy who's on the court for 40 minutes, shooting a basketball 5 times from the floor, that is. It's not including free throws. It's unbelievable that this is what we are being presented after they get the number 1 seed. We're talking about being on the brink of elimination now against the Atlanta Hawks. Oh, the Sixers are young. Yeah, guess who else is pretty young? A team led by Trae Young. They're pretty young, too. I'm so unbelievably pissed off. I'm so just ridiculous. Like, it's a weird combination. You get in trouble when you're a kid and your parents say, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. I'm both. And that disappointed one is supposed to hurt so much more. I am both of those things today. I was both of those things last night. Mad and disappointed in what the Sixers team couldn't do. Mad at Ben Simmons for not being able to hit free throws. Mad at Ben Simmons for not being aggressive. I'm mad that Joel Embiid couldn't close out the game, because here's what I'm looking at. As much as it might suck to look at Joel Embiid and say, oh, man, the guy's gutting it through the torn meniscus, and he's still going after it. And he grabbed his knee late in the game yesterday as well. So what more could you want from him? I'll tell you what, him to take over when he knows Ben Simmons is not. when he knows Tobias Harris, the most consistent 76er on this roster, is not having a good game, is having his worst game, and I can't even remember how long. Scores 4 points throughout this game. Was what, 2 of 11, I believe it was, from the floor. 2 of 11 from the floor. He's minus 10 in the game overall. And he gets you 4 points? 0 for 3 from three-point land? Tobias Harris, the guy that's, this guy, 20 points every single night. And that's what he does. And last night was an anomaly. But, man, that's a terrible game to break your consistency there, Toby. Seth Curry and Joel Embiid were the whole reason you were still in this game in the second half. And Doc Rivers mentioned that post-game. He mentioned how if they don't have Seth Curry going off the way he was in the third quarter, you're talking about this being a completely different – you're talking about a second-half breakdown, much more like what you saw in the previous game, where it was the entire second half. It wasn't just the fourth quarter. I just still can't wrap my head around it. And so we'll go back to Joel Embiid here. So Joel Embiid isn't able to help close out the game, unfortunately. Played great throughout the entire 3.5 quarters, but stopped being aggressive. And it goes back to a lot of what you saw. There were a lot of similarities between Game 4 and Game 5 and those epic collapses by the Sixers. The one thing that jumps out to me was Joel Embiid stopped being aggressive. Joel Embiid had to keep being aggressive. The minute Joel Embiid starts stopping and pulling up for 15-foot jump shots instead of challenging Clint Capella and going to the rim and getting fouled and maybe getting the N1 and going to the line and all that, the minute he stops doing that, that bails the defense out every single time. And then he's also forcing shots that he knows he really shouldn't be taking anyway. He should be going to the rim. He chooses not to do that. You look at a guy, you say, well, look at the great game that he had overall. 37 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, which is good for him. And you think, but you can't get mad at Joe. Well, you know what? What if Kevin Durant didn't close out the game against the Bucks the other night? What if they didn't? What if he didn't? What if, you know what? I gave you guys enough. By the time the final 2 minutes rolled around, you're fine. Yeah, that's not what superstars do. That's certainly not what MVP candidates do. And you're saying, Kevin Durant in the same sentence as Joel Embiid? You're damn right. Joel Embiid was the second best player in the NBA this year, according to the basketball pundits, right? He's the second. He's the runner-up for MVP. Yeah, I kind of expect him to close out a basketball game. And I'd like 2 nights in a row not being able to do that. 2 games in a row not being able to do that is pitiful. But really, the real ire goes to Ben Simmons, because you can't, especially on a night where you can't even rely on your defensive abilities, where Trae Young goes bonkers for 39 points, I think it was. 39 points. You can't say, Ben's a great defender. No, this isn't a game where you could really use that. I mean, he is a great defender. Last night, he wasn't a great defender. Last night, he was a detriment to this team. He wasn't an asset to this team. Early on, you thought, okay, well, that's great. The second half. Let's see. The first half, they played great. Second half, what do they have for you? I mentioned this. So I was watching the game with my father-in-law last night, and he's not a Philadelphia sports fan. He's become a little bit of a Philadelphia sports fan thanks to my influence. Maybe I should be apologizing to him now. But the second half wraps up, and he goes, Marc, you have to be feeling good. And I go, no, I don't, because they did this in Game 4. They played great in the first half. You felt great after the first half. It was awesome. And then the second half happened, and you collapsed. This time around, it was more the fourth quarter happened, and you collapsed. You only lost the third quarter by 4 points. You lost the fourth quarter by 21. So that's really when the wheels came off. Doc Rivers was asked about it after the game, and he really talked about things going forward into Game 5. Game 6 in Atlanta. Here's Doc Rivers on what the Sixers need to do from this point on.
It's on us. It's on all of us. It's on me. It's on the players, and we have to figure out how to get back up, which we will, and bring this game back here for Game 7.
Yep, I would think that about sums it up. Doc kept on going, by the way, when it came to Ben Simmons, who finished the night 4 for 14 from the free throw line with just 8 points in the game overall. Here is what Doc Rivers had to say about Ben Simmons. Now, this is a little back and forth with Kyle Neubeck, friend of the show, Kyle Neubeck, PhillyVoice.com. Here's a little back and forth towards the end of the game, revolving around Ben Simmons and his lack of his ability to shoot free throws.
How much do you think Ben's issues at the free throw line are permeating through the rest of his game right now?
I don't think that. You mean as far as other guys missing free throws?
No, I mean just in terms of his lack of involvement offensively, generally speaking.
Well, listen, Kyle, I would say the fouls in the first half actually helped us. We actually increased the lead when they were doing it. And the beginning of the third quarter, Bogdanovich and Herder were 4 and 5 fouls. So in a lot of ways, it came back. It really helped us. The missed free throws in the fourth quarter hurt us. So I would say that's where it affected us for sure.
Well, so let me rephrase this then, Doc. If you get into a situation where your point guard and your organizer as a team effectively has to come out of a game.
Yeah.
Free throw.
Yeah, but you play minutes without Ben, right? During the game, and so I think we're equipped for that, and we're ready to do that. Obviously, we did it again tonight. Do you want to do that? Is a better question, and the answer would be no. But when Ben makes them, we get to keep them in. When he doesn't, we can, and that's just the way it is. Some nights we still do if it's working our way. In the first half, we kept them in because we were actually increasing the lead, and we felt like they were getting in foul trouble. Fourth quarter, you don't really worry about foul trouble, so then you have to make them.
I don't know why it's difficult to just say the guy needs to hit his free throws. There's no positive that comes out of it. There's nothing there that goes, oh, you know what? This is great. He's missing his free throws, so good things are happening. No, if they're purposely fouling your guy to put themselves in a better position to win the basketball game, that's a negative no matter how you slice it, no matter how you look at it. I would love to know what Ben's routine is now because I haven't been in practice in a long time. No one's really allowed to practice up until recently, obviously. I've been there for pregame warm-ups, and I've seen him work on it, and everything looks fine. But to not only be able to maintain 50% or even 60% from the foul line, and not be able to maintain even that, and then drop off to 35%, to 30%, to 25%, there's like no excuse for that. So Ben was asked after the game about his free throw shooting and what he needs to improve. Here's what Ben had to say.
And even though you've never been the best free throw shooter, do you feel at this point, your problem is more mental than form?
Definitely, I think mental. We were up, we had it, and I think we just gave it to them. We got too comfortable, and didn't play the way we should be playing. Didn't move the ball as much in the second half. Didn't get as many easy shots, and then defensively, too many lapses where we didn't communicate.
I'm trying to figure it all out right now as far as this goes with the Sixers. And I know we all are trying to figure it out right now. And I worry that there's no code to crack because nothing really can explain this away. This is ESPN Stats and Info. They put this out last night. Sixers, the only team to blow at least an 18-point lead in back-to-back playoff games in the last 25 seasons. Win probability of 95.5%. At one point in Game 4, it reached 99.7 late in the third quarter of Game 5. I'm just beside myself. I mean, I mentioned that there were many similarities between the Game 4 collapse and the Game 5 collapse last night. One of them was Joel Embiid towards the end of the game. Another one is obviously Ben Simmons not hitting his free throws. The other is second chance points. When I saw the Hawks jacking up threes to try to really cut the lead and all that stuff, and they were missing those shots, and then the Sixers couldn't come up with those rebounds to go the other way, and then the Hawks would get second chance points out of that, I thought, here we go again. Here we go again. When I saw those offensive rebounds, that's when it really committed. Because, I'm not expecting Ben Simmons to make free throws. I am expecting Joel Embiid to completely close out the game when he looks around him and sees Tobias Harris having a terrible game, Ben Simmons not being aggressive. When he sees all that, I figure the thing he's got to look at is himself in the mirror and go, well, I guess it's on me again. As much as I don't want it to be, that's really what it comes down to. Seth Curry really carried you, so I don't want to rip him when he finally ended up missing a couple of shots there at the end. But the overall impression I got from the Sixers late in this game, especially when I think they realized a lot of the same things were happening from game 4, was they played extremely tight, hesitant, and worst of all, scared. And I thought that really showed itself on 2 shots, more than anything. The one was Tobias Harris, about 10 feet away from the basket, right around the foul line, with about a minute and a half left, put up a jump shot that 99 times out of 100 he knocks down, and it clanked off the rim and went the other way. Then the other one was Tobias Harris right by the rim, getting an offensive rebound, going for the putback, and he couldn't knock it down from a foot outside the rim. Like a little bunny hop, if you will, a little touch, a little layup, and Tobias Harris couldn't get that down. Really, towards the end of the game entirely, it looked like nobody wanted to step up and win this game, especially once they finally went down a point when Trae Young went to the line, when Matisse Thybulle fouled him, and I still hate the way the game is called, but that's how it's called. And Trae Young goes to the foul line, makes all 3 free throws. The Hawks go up 1 point. From that point on, it felt like the Sixers were just like, yeah, you want me to shoot? You're crazy. You shoot. No, you shoot. And they just kept moving the ball around. And I know that's one of the criticisms that Doc Rivers had of his team after the game about how, they weren't moving the ball enough. At times, I thought they were moving it too much. Somebody had to take the ball and score. I double dog dare this team to lose in the first round again. Double dog dare them. Hey, the Phillies won, so that happened. We'll talk about more in our big bet segment, but thank God for Zach Wheeler, or as I like to call him, the ATM machine, because he was making me some money last night, which I appreciate. I want to set this up because there's a lot of setup that needs to happen here if nobody saw this yesterday. And as much as I don't want to divert from the Sixers, I feel like for our own mental well-being, we have to. So before we talk to Ryan Spaeder about all things baseball, I want to make sure that we set this up properly. Ryan Spaeder, all of a sudden, now I get a text from Jim Hyden, who produces our program, does a fantastic job. And he said, hey, have you seen this? And I go to Twitter and I see Ryan Spaeder, a guy, like I said, I've interviewed a couple times, and nice guy and all that. And I'm looking at it, and he really is going scorched earth. And the vibe I get is that the Tyler Glasnow story, the pitcher for the Rays, who's having a great year, who's now hurt, he says it's because he wasn't allowed to use a sticky substance on his fingers anymore. Suntan lotion and something. I forget what it was. Rosin, maybe? I don't know. Says he couldn't get a good grip on the baseball anymore, so he had to feel it. He had to bury it further back in his hand, and it made him overthrow and get injured. Well, a lot of different pitchers are coming out and talking about this, or at least coming out and being asked about this. Reporters are asking them about using banned substances on the Hill. So now it's come to the forefront that a lot of other people are cheating in many other ways, and it felt like Ryan Spaeder was just kind of fed up with everybody trying to gain an edge, and then everybody comes down on them when they finally get caught. Essentially, everybody's cheating in some way, shape, or form. It's just that you try not to get caught. So basically, it goes more to the thinking of what we all have in our brains already, which is you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And if one guy's cheating, guess what? Over here, they're doing something else. And even through the Spygate era and all that stuff, if Bill Belichick was doing it, you had to think some of the other coaches were doing it, but maybe they were doing it a little bit more covertly. But Ryan Spaeder went through almost all of Major League Baseball to talk about when analytic departments were put just next to the dugout, so they could have that communication when they stepped up technology and trying to do that. He comes down on Rob Manfred. He thinks he's doing a terrible job with Major League Baseball, and I don't know anyone that would disagree, to be honest with you. And he also talks about Chase Utley and calls Chase Utley the biggest cheater of all time, basically. So I asked him about that, and we went back and forth. The interesting thing is that Ryan is a Phillies fan, and he loves Chase Utley. So we covered all of that in our interview. It's about 20 minutes. We'll air that in just a second and kind of give us a break from the Sixers conversation and all that fun stuff. But before we do that, there's a couple of different things that I want to do today. Obviously, we'll do the social media check-in and all that. We'll maybe even check in with back with you people in a second. We'll also get into our morning rush as we do every morning, and then we have our big bet segment towards the end of the show. But right now, I do want to tell you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Told you my friend was going over there, get an engagement ring. I got a text message after his appointment was done. Hey, man, Thanks for setting me up there. I didn't get him any kind of like crazy deal. I just merely said, hey, this is where you got to go. Said the experience was incredible. Did what I always tell you to do, which is make an appointment on the appointment scheduler. Go into Steven Singer Jewelers, and you have a real jewelry expert walk you through everything. You know what? He just takes all the pressure away. Not just the pressure when you're actually buying the diamond, but the pressure of where you're going to buy the diamond, because he makes it so damn easy. That's why you got to go to Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Finding that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with is great, but you hate all the pressure that comes next. Buying the ring, what you want to do, and all that. That's stuff people can do without. That's why you got to go where there's no hassle, no haggling, and you got to find a store that you trust. Try going to Steven Singer Jewelers if you haven't already. The experience is like none other. This guy is absolutely unbelievable. So easy to deal with. And I see why so many people say they hate Steven Singer because he makes buying diamonds easy. You want it to be difficult so you have an excuse. He takes away every single excuse. Steven Singer, a real Philly jeweler, he's been making it so easy to buy real diamonds for over 4 decades in Philadelphia. He specializes in diamond engagement rings and has a staff of real experts, real jewelers, real people that are ready to help you find the perfect ring or gift at the perfect price. There's no call center. There's no sales, no haggling, no deals, no promo codes, no discounts. Just every single time, he guarantees you the perfect price when you walk in the doors at the other corner of 8th and Walnut. So check out Steven Singer Jewelers at the other corner of 8th and Walnut or online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. We're going to do 2 of these. We're going to do 2 social media check-ins because I want to make sure we talk about both topics here. First and foremost, I just want to get into this before we get to the Ryan Spaeder interview. It's T-Bro. Are you kidding me, Sixers? Sorry, what's up, Farzy? No worries. Bring the emotion. We're all here for one another. We're all here for one another. Social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. I didn't even know where to begin after that slop. And that's Dan Schwartz checking in. Good morning, Dan. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the thing that Ben said in the clip I played for you was, that it happened again. And they took their foot off the gas. How do you do that 2 games in a row? Like, as a professional athlete, how do you not know when they're about to make a run? I mean, I think everybody in the building at like a 13-point lead in the early goings of the 4th quarter had the feeling that the tides were turning, that momentum was shifting. Up 13 points, you really started to have that feeling. Hawks started to get a little bit hot. They started to get the second chance points. You didn't see Joel Embiid attack the rim. Ben Simmons even said after the game, the lanes weren't there for him to be aggressive and go. Like, all that. But, like, as a fan, as media, and you're watching that game and you can feel it, oh, my God, it's happening again. How do the Sixers not feel? Like, maybe they felt it too much. Maybe that's why they started playing tight. Maybe that's why they started being hesitant. Maybe that's why they stopped being aggressive. Maybe that's why. But if you're Ben Simmons and you say after the game that you felt like it was happening again, how do you let it? How do you take your foot off the gas? How do you stop being aggressive? Oh, that thing's happening again. Let me do something to prevent it. Instead, no, you turtled up. A lot of people commenting, as you would assume. Farzi's show, he can tailgate with me on Friday. I'm eating tons in the slop. What? In a sloppy house before I watch others struggle with both things. I feel like I missed something. Hoarders? I think this jumped around on me a little bit. Benny's checking in Farzy. I think your mic is acting funny unless you're underwater now. I'll check that out later. Tim's checking in saying he just feels sick. I agree with you. Luigi's saying, well, at least we're historic, so that's fun. Dan saying, Brett Brown, Sixers at Hearts. God, I hope not. This is just all so damn sad. All so damn sad. All right. Without further ado, we're going to let you hear from Ryan Spaeder coming up in just a second here, and I'll attempt to fix my microphone if it sounds like it's off at all. So my apologies. Without further ado, here is a behind-the-scenes look, if you will, little conversation with Ryan Spaeder, who went scorched earth yesterday on Major League Baseball and the cheating scandals surrounding it. He joins us on the Zatos Investments guest line. joins us on the
with us right now, the Zatos Investments guest line, a man who I have interviewed a number of times and I've certainly interacted with enough on Twitter. He's a huge baseball fan. He's done stuff for the MLB Network, and he's even served our country with the United States Marine Corps. His name is Ryan Spaeder, known as Ace of Spaeder on Twitter. Ryan, how are you, brother?
I'm doing great, brother. Really appreciate you having me on.
First off, it's great to just catch up with you in general, but I got to ask you this. Like I said, we've interacted before. I have to ask you, for those that don't know you, how do you best describe yourself?
Like I was telling you just a moment before we started, I would say a jackass is probably the best. Now, I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I always tell whenever I meet a baseball player, I'm friendly with. I'm sure you've spoken to him a couple times. Cody Ashley, Cameron Rupp, some of the former Phillies guys, and I always tell these guys, I'm like, dude, I'm a ball player. I just suck.
That's a great way to put that. And Al, you're a baseball first guy, which am I? And I feel like we're a dying breed. But I'm going to introduce myself as that from now on, as a baseball first guy. I'm a ball player, but I just happen to suck, and I peaked in eighth grade. So that's where I'll go with that. So you, my friend, always love commenting, and you have 60,000 plus Twitter followers because of just the way you like to talk baseball, which is amazing. And like I said, you've done stuff on MLB Network before. You started what people are referring to as a poop storm on Twitter yesterday, and it all comes back to this story about Tyler Glasnow and the MLB, Major League Baseball, saying they're going to ban the foreign substances for pitchers to get a better grip on the baseball and all that. First off, just on that ruling with Major League Baseball and the Tyler Glasnow story, where do you stand on all of that? Yay or nay to Major League Baseball?
I think Major League Baseball continues to fail. They fail over and over and over again. And the way that they fail is that they never take any responsibility for essentially what is their own actions, right? And we've seen it here with the quote-unquote sticky stuff. We saw it before that with the juice ball era. We saw it before that with the steroid era. We saw it before that with the cocaine use in the 80s. We saw it before that with the amphetamines. And the one thing that remains true throughout all of these is Rob Manfred. He's always at the center of all of these things. He was at the center of the steroid era. He was at the center of the juice ball era. He was at the center of the sticky stuff era, whatever you want to call it. It's always been Manfred. And for some reason, fans, or Major League Baseball actually can turn fans on each other, I guess. But fans constantly are blaming players and teams. And I've had enough of it. And so part of what I came out with was regarding what Major League Baseball let happen. And, I did something I didn't want to do. The only reason I named guys like Adrian Beltre, Chase Utley, is because they had previously been named. I would have never used these guys' names otherwise.
What's really interesting, real quick, just on Beltre for a second there, is how many clubs he has been with and how this kind of followed him around is one of the things you highlighted.
So you might be mixing up Beltran.
Excuse me, yeah.
So Beltran took it from, I believe he took it from New York to Texas and then to Houston, or it may have been Texas to New York to Houston. But Beltre is a very interesting case because he was kind of doing this thing on his own. And again, the only reason I mentioned him by name is because he had previously been outed by somebody else. Otherwise, I would have never used an individual's name. Absolutely not.
And this is just stuff you've heard from, being around Major League Baseball, making yourself, kind of intertwining yourself in the league itself. It's really amazing all the information you've gotten from just having good relationships.
Well, you know, it's like we said. I'm a ball player. I just suck. These guys, a lot of these guys talk to me. They trust me. I don't know why. You know, they for whatever reason, guys like you know, Bregman and McCullers and Ashley, who I mentioned, and Rupp. These guys look at me as like one of their peers for some reason. And I have no idea why. You know.
So again, you didn't mention anybody's name that wasn't already out, as you just said. Have you received any backlash from anyone you've talked to about putting things out on Twitter like you did yesterday?
So you know what's funny is I actually have received a ton of backlash mostly from fans, really pissed off, mostly Yankees fans, I'll tell you, not happy about what I said. However, I have also received a number of texts from players who are saying like, dude, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I think even, let me see. Josh Reddick put it out publicly. He was like, dude, this guy is like the saint, you know. he was all about it. I've received a number of emails from guys saying like, we really appreciate you going to bat for us here. Obviously, you know, a bunch of Astros because those guys got burnt for all of this. But man, it's been a mess, and I don't think it's going to get any better. And if you look at, for example, somebody who I really respect and really like, Saris, you know him?
I do not.
So he's I believe, a Fangraphs guy, and also I want to say baseball savant guy. And he's somebody who commented on what I said. He was like, "This ain't it. This ain't it." I disagreed with him. I think, from my opinion, I think I did the right thing. I think it was time for this to come out, and I had enough of it. I just, it was time. It was time.
All right. So you're doing this mostly to hold Major League Baseball accountable, saying you guys are allowing this to happen most of the time, if not every single time. You know what's happening, and you don't say anything until it becomes public, more or less.
Yeah. And so for me, Major League Baseball, what they do is they skirt any responsibility in every single situation, right? Think back as recently as 2 years ago, right? With the juice ball era, right? Major League Baseball said, hey, it's Rawlings' fault. Well, wait a second. You guys just bought Rawlings 6 months before any of this happened. And you're going to tell us it's their fault? You're going to tell me that it's Mark McGwire's fault, it's Barry Bonds' fault, it's Sammy Sosa's fault, when you don't have rules that say you're not allowed to do this, that, and the other thing?
Mm-hmm.
It's not right.
I think there's really no better glaring example of baseball just looking like a bunch of buffoons, unfortunately, than the Astros scandal that happened 2 seasons ago now, or 3 seasons ago, but 2 seasons ago, where we actually found out exactly what was happening. And Major League Baseball punished no players. They interviewed players, and then they were basically granted immunity, and everybody else was punished. Major League Baseball really had no punitive action to anybody else.
Well, you know what? And I'll tell you right now why they didn't punish the players. Because as soon as you take away somebody's meal ticket, they're going to start singing. If you say, Alex Bregman, you're suspended for 50 games, he's going to start singing. He's going to say, this team did this, that team did that. That's why when these guys went on the, the quote unquote apology tour, that's why none of them were sorry, because they knew what they were doing. They were just playing the game so that they could continue to get their, paycheck or whatever. And when you say to somebody, you're like, hey, you're suspended for 50 games. I'm taking away 50 game checks from you. That's not going to fly. And that's exactly why Major League Baseball did not punish those guys.
All right. Now, when it comes to the players, like basically from your message overall, when it comes to that, your message, from what I get out of it, is baseball, step up and take responsibility for this. And the old adage, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And if somebody else is cheating, that means everybody's cheating, kind of applies here.
I would say, yeah, all of it, honestly. And, you know, like I told you, I took steroids. Didn't do anything for me. I have 0 home runs.
Still a bad baseball player. Still bad.
Yeah, still terrible.
No, as they say, you still got to hit the baseball. So if you were to stand in front of Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred right now, other than ask Rob Manfred to retire or step down, what would you say to him? What would you say to Major League Baseball about the cheating scandals that we do see?
You know, actually, I wouldn't address any of that. What I would address is why did he steal my playoff system? That really drives me nuts.
Oh, that was your idea. That's right.
Because I'm the one who came up with this playoff idea, and then all of a sudden Major League Baseball has the exact same idea. Come on.
You're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
I want an answer.
So after they tell you, you know, we're sorry, we just thought we came up with that on our own. What would you say after that? What would be the next thing in terms of what you would want to see from Major League Baseball?
Oh man, to be honest with you, so it's funny you go to Manfred because I'm going to divert to the players union. I don't think Tony Clark should be running that union. I think he's doing a terrible job. A lot of players who I've spoken to agree with that. They do not think he's getting the job done for them. And you know me, I'm somebody. I don't know. I guess fairly capitalist. I don't generally go for unions, but in the case of Major League Baseball, I think it's necessary, and I think it's being ran the wrong way. I do not think Tony Clark is doing a great job for that organization, and that's kind of where I'm at. I think he's just coming up short and just not getting the job done.
So what do you hope happens after coming out on Twitter, outing so many different cheating scandals, analytic departments that were right next to the dugout, all that stuff? What do you hope happens in the aftermath?
Not what happened. I've gotten a lot of, I've done a good bit of radio today, as you can imagine. But I've got people sending me death threats and stuff. Geez. I'm like, geez, you gotta be kidding me. This is not what I anticipated. Not what I was looking forward to. Like I said, spoke out against it. I got a text from, I don't care. Passon texted me about it, and he was like, dude, you shouldn't have done it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. What am I going to do?
Right.
Like, I just got so sick and tired of the one team, the one player being blamed for everything. And I saw it happening again. And this is the reason I came out with it. I saw it happening again with the sticky stuff with Trevor Bauer and Garrett Cole. I saw it happening all over again, and I said, I'm going to do my best to put a stop to this right now. And the way that I know how to do so is by coming out with what I know about. Mm-hmm. And that's the sign stealing stuff.
Mm-hmm. So basically, a lot of people are just looking for that edge, even if that edge might be slightly outside the rules, so to speak.
I mean, I think we're going to see that for forever.
I agree, and that's why I kind of want to have you on, because you and I agree on a lot of this stuff. When the Astros came out with that, highly advanced way to figure out the next pitch, or with the pitcher trying to figure out a better way to get a grip, or even in football, the Patriots and Spygate or Deflategate, whatever gate you want to throw at it. Everybody in sports is looking for that kind of edge, and I think what you did in baseball was say just that. Look, I know this is the latest thing to come out, but there's a million other things that haven't come out, that haven't been made famous yet, that there haven't been stories written about yet, and it's just like the tip of the iceberg.
Let me ask you this, right? You mean to tell me, and I'm not saying you in particular, but you mean to tell me that we found the most technologically sound way to steal signs. And the best way to deliver those signs to the hitters is by banging on a trash can.
Maybe the most disguised? I don't know.
From where I stand, the Astros, what they did was they took a rule. The rule says you're not allowed to pass signs technologically or, whatever. What they did was they took a rule, manipulated it so that technically they weren't breaking the rule. They said, we're going to steal the signs with technology, and then we're going to pass them with an old school method, something that teams had been using since like 1903 by banging on a trash can. There were other teams doing the exact same thing, but passing it by a more efficient means. The Astros are the ones. That's why you got Alex Bregman on the apology tour, who doesn't want to say a word, right? This is exactly why a number of these guys didn't want to say anything in terms of, we did something wrong, because they know. They know that their contemporaries are doing the same thing, and they were doing so by perhaps a more efficient means.
Ryan, I have to ask you this because it's the thing that hit closest to home for me, and you're a Phillies guy. You're a Chase Utley guy, and what drew a lot of eyeballs from the Delaware Valley was your note about Chase Utley, about the biggest cheater ever, was it? So where I know that hurt you even to put it out there, but where did that come from?
So I heard that from a couple different players, and I will say, though, every single person who commented on Chase Utley said that he, if this makes sense, he cheated the right way. If it makes any sense whatsoever. He wasn't doing any quote unquote nefarious means or trash cans or any of that. He was very good at picking signs from second base, first base. It didn't matter, but I don't know. Cheating the right way, whatever.
As bending the rules as much as possible without breaking them.
I guess that's probably the best way to put it. Yeah.
No, that I can live with. That's the Chase Utley that I came to know and love when he was here in Philadelphia playing, and I'm sure that's the same guy you came to know and love. No?
Oh man, he was the best.
That certainly, when I saw that, I was like, okay, now what exactly does that mean? And to hear that from what you've gathered, staying within at least the realm of not doing anything totally outside the rules of the game, whether unwritten or written, I guess, seems like the exact same player that a lot of people loved here in Philadelphia.
Well, you know what? One thing that drives me nuts about Utley is he's got such a bad rep with Mets fans because of Ruben Tejeda, is it?
Yeah, Tejeda, yeah.
And I guess he broke his leg or whatever. But
at second base,
Chase Utley, this man played baseball a certain way for, 22, 23 years? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, he's supposed to change the way that he plays the game. Mm-hmm. That's impossible. You just can't do that. Yeah. You can't flip a switch. It's not... I mean, it's like learned behavior, right? It's you just can't flip a switch. You can't flip a light switch and then say all of a sudden, okay, no more takeout slides.
Right. Yeah, and I gotta be honest with you. I was at a bar, not really paying attention to the game, and I looked up the Dodgers-Mets game, and I looked up and I saw who I later found out was Chase Utley sliding hard in the second base and the second baseman getting hurt on the play. And I looked up and I said, oh, it's a good hard play. And then I went back to my conversation. It wasn't until later that I figured out it was Chase Utley. And I went, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That's how Chase plays the game. And then all of New York was set ablaze simply because it was Chase Utley, the former Philly. He plays dirty and all that. It's like, no, to hell with it. He plays
garbage. I see often garbage human being, right?
Yeah, that's right. Right. So last thing for you, my friend. When it comes to baseball, when it comes to the players, and when it comes to the union and Major League Baseball, I really have to. I want to get this answer from you. What's the perfect world? Like what would make Ryan Spaeder, ace of Spaeder, happy when he looks at his number one sport, the sport that while playing he's bad at, but breaking down he's great at? what would you love to see from the baseball world when it comes to scandals, cheating, whatever it might be? What would you like to see?
So, that's really difficult to answer, especially given the state of the game. And I can tell you, what I definitely don't want to see, and that's Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, pitting players against each other before the CBA, which we have this coming winter. And that's what's happening right now is players are being pit against each other. They are the whole reason Major League Baseball cares about the the quote unquote sticky stuff. The only reason they care is because this collective bargaining agreement, right? And so they're going to use this in order to pit players against each other. You've now got hitters and pitchers, some guys on the same teams up against each other, and they're using it to essentially make these guys fight. And it's a terrible thing. One thing that I recently saw from, I believe it was Pete Alonso, that I thought was very interesting, that is kind of in the same realm, is he believes that they're changing the baseball annually based on the free agent class. So if you have a strong pitching free agent class coming up, well, then they're making the ball a little more hittable. If you have a strong hitting class coming up, well, they're making the ball a little bit more pitchable. And we're seeing exactly that, but with Major League Baseball pitting their own players against each other. And it's just a terrible thing to see.
That's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Well, Ryan, we'll continue to follow you on Twitter, Ace of Spaeder, once more. I appreciate you coming on and dissecting all this with us and walking us through all of it. And hopefully one day we'll get you as the commissioner of Major League Baseball, and you'll be able to do a lot more than some bad baseball player on Twitter, so to speak.
I appreciate it, Marc.
Wait, real quick. Phillies have a chance to win the division?
I think so. I honestly do. And maybe it's the homer in me,
Right.
Maybe
look at it. Oh, there you go.
Maybe it's the homer in me, but hey, check that out. Look,
there you go. Oh, of course.
2009. Maybe it's the homer in me. I do think they have an outside shot, and I like them as a wild card team, if nothing else.
Easy enough. Ryan Spaeder, Ace of Spaeder. Thanks for everything. Thanks for your service, most importantly, but also thanks for breaking it all down with us, man. Much appreciated. We'll have you on again.
I appreciate you having me, brother.
Absolutely. Joining us here on the Zatos Investments guest line, Ace of Spaeder, Ryan Spaeder. My thanks again to Ryan Spaeder, Ace of Spaeder, joining us there on the Zatos Investments guest line. Love to know what you guys think about it. Hit me up in the comments for the show, obviously, and let me know what's what. My take on it as far as the Chase Utley thing was, I guess it's cheating to play harder than anybody. I guess it's cheating to find a way to relay signs from second base when you're standing on second base, not as a second baseman, but as a runner on base, to relay signs back, because you're not supposed to do that. Someone's going to get a ball on the ear, as they say. But I personally just think that the cheating was a very strong word to use for a guy that pretty much just out-hustled. And he did say he didn't do anything nefarious, so I assume that includes steroids. He didn't do steroids. I assume that includes he wasn't necessarily stealing signs in an illegal fashion, I guess. Maybe outside the realm of what the unwritten rules of baseball would prefer. But it doesn't really sound like cheater was the best way to describe Chase Utley. I know that a lot of times when somebody else is outworking other people, those other people might look and be like, oh, well, that guy, nobody's doing that, but he is. And they might misconstrue it. But that would be cheating the right way, in my opinion. And you could tell that Spaeder didn't want to necessarily get into details and out all the sources that he had. But I did think it was interesting that someone on the national stage, like Jeff Passan, reached out to him privately and said, like, what are you doing, man? I like the fact that it's all out there. And what he has heard, He put it out there on social media for everybody else to read, and the thing just set the world on fire. So my thanks to him yet again for joining us on the show today. I do want to tell you about DraftKings and DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. I love using DraftKings, and I was all over it last night, especially after the collapse that we all witnessed. But my friends use it, my family uses it, and when you use it, when you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, you make sure you use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy. DraftKings Sportsbook is putting you courtside with a chance to turn $1 into $100 in site credits. That's right. Any basketball team that is still in contention, bet $1 on them, and if your team wins, you'll win $100 in free site credits. Don't forget, DraftKings Sportsbook also offers great odds and promotions on baseball and hockey as well. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy to turn $1 into $100 in free site credits. Bet on the basketball team of your choice to win their next game, and if they do so, guess what? You'll claim $100 after a $1 bet. Use promo code Farzy for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, present in Pennsylvania, new customers only, wager paid out in site credits, restrictions apply, in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Also want to tell you about our friends at Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com who bring us our social media check-in every day. Fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you like to dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that and an extensive wine list, including their own Cavada Cellars wines. One thing I didn't tell you about Steak and Maine when I was there, I didn't realize it, but because they're in Maryland and they're also close to Philadelphia, they have two rolls that you might like. They got the Ravens roll for them Balmer people, and then they got the Eagles roll for you fine Philly people. So make sure you try them both. Why not? And see which one they like best. Open every day for lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself at steakandmaine.com for more information. And how about PhiladelphiaSportsNation.com, PHLSportsNation.com. It's enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. All you got to do is check them out, PhiladelphiaSportsNation.com. That's PHLSportsNation.com, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. And last but certainly not least, had a couple of more challenges come in on the FanUp app. Download the FanUp app in the App Store right now and get 2,000 bonus points just to start you out when you use promo code FanUp. That's promo code FanUp. Just be fans. You can win brand prizes. You can win memorabilia. You can win cash. You can rise on their leaderboard by answering fun questions, taking part in their super fun contest as well. Issue challenges to your friends. And like I said, you could rise on their leaderboard. The days of playing fantasy sports alone are over thanks to FanUp and the FanUp app. May may have a lot of fun because I certainly do on this app as well. So make sure you take care of yourself with this FanUp app. Just be fans. You could be the real MVP with the FanUp app. Thanks to everyone that, of course, did challenge me yesterday. That's always a good time. Let's see what else we have here on our social media check-in part 2 of the show. We covered a lot of stuff with the Sixers earlier. Dan saying it's pretty smart by the Astros. Sealski ruined his life. And what was the last one? And he's why the Sixers lost. Anything that ties it back to Sealski. Sure, can we agree it was Cody Ashley? Or so can we agree, Ronald says. So can we agree it was Cody Ashley? I mean, if he's talking to a number of players from the Phillies organization, then yeah, I would assume he would be one of them if he's literally mentioned by name, Cameron Rupp being another one. Now we got to riff on Ben Simmons' free throw shooting. Yeah, I'm not going to go there, but I get what you guys are saying. Yeah, so my take is like basically what I just told you. I don't think Chase Utley was doing anything crazy. I think he was just playing harder, and that pissed people off. And I mean, as they say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And the only thing that really jumps to mind is if he's standing on second base, or and he's a runner on second base, and he is letting batters know. This is what I'm speculating. If he's letting batters know the next pitch somehow magically, then there's somebody that is bending the rules as much as possible to make sure he can help his team and put them in the best possible position. It's not against the rules, but it's against those unwritten rules. And if you want an unwritten rule followed, the best way to do that is to actually follow the rules. So that's I've always that's the way I feel about it. I've always appreciated Mike Sealski, Mac. I've always appreciated him. I like that he's taken on a life of his own during the show, no doubt. Let's get to our morning rush. Our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. This is a somber note, ladies and gentlemen. You might know him. A lot of you do. Dennis Gipper Grove is one hell of a guy. Huge Philadelphia sports fan. I've interviewed him a couple of different times, and just a great guy. Well, he started the Raise the Cat movement, if you remember, from 2017. And if you remember that, it was the Sixers win, and if you owned a cat, you raise the cat. You lift your cat up and you take a picture, right? And you put it out there. And it actually became a big charitable cause for an animal shelter in South Philadelphia. And it was a great thing. It was a lot of fun. We all had a lot of fun with it. I remember doing a feature piece when I was at NBC with Gip for it, and it was a lot of fun. And like I said, it was for a great cause. Well, unfortunately, Gipper's cat of Raise the Cat fame, Izzy, is unfortunately being laid to rest today. And I know this is funny. It's not funny. I know this is ironic that we were talking about something similar yesterday anyway, but not to bring up a sad note, but it's if you can today, keep Izzy in your good vibes, in your good thoughts today. And, send good vibes Izzy's way, because Izzy will be laid to rest today, 14 years old. And last night was the last Sixers game that she saw. So just keep that in mind. Also, looking out on the West Coast of things, the Clippers were able to take care of business against the Jazz, despite no Kawhi Leonard in that game. Paul George dropped 37 points in that game. So that's the West Coast, the little check-in we'll do right there. Sixers will be back in action tomorrow night. Tonight, the Bucks and the Nets tip off. The Nets will attempt to put the Bucks out of their misery. So we'll see if that actually happens, and we'll see whether or not that series goes to a Game 7. As right now, we're all hoping that the Sixers obviously go to a Game 7. That's our that right there is our morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Big bets segment brought to you by DraftKings and DraftKings Sportsbook. Here's what I did last night, and I told you I was doing most of this ahead of time, but here's what I ended up doing. I ended up taking the Sixers at -6.5, lost. I ended up taking Joel Embiid over 30 points in the game, hit. I ended up taking Joel Embiid double-double, and the Sixers win. Obviously did not hit, but he got the double-double. And I also cashed in on this, though. So I split. I went 2 for 4, which is 50%. It's better than Ben Simmons foul shooting. Joel Embiid hitting more than one three-pointer, and he hit 2 in the game. So I hit on the Joel Embiid 3. I hit on Joel Embiid, did over 30 points, lost on the double-double in the win, and then lost on the Sixers covering at -6.5. So my apologies for steering you wrong in those regards yesterday, because I know I said the Sixers would cover. They did not. I'm a big fat idiot. Me scusi. I'll be better for you next time. But I have told you this, that Zach Wheeler is an ATM machine. Because if you like to throw a couple of bucks at balls and strikes, Zach Wheeler is the guy to do that with. And yesterday, I made up a lot of the money I would have lost if I didn't end up betting on balls and strikes yesterday. So I made sure I jumped on that yesterday, and I made a couple of bucks back for myself. So I am sitting pretty again with the good people at DraftKings. Far as tonight goes, I honestly think that the Bucks win this game. I'm going to be amazed if Kevin Durant can do it again. A Lincoln's Hawk, I cost you $25K. I'm sorry, Lincoln's Hawk. Would you like a T-shirt? I can send you a T-shirt. No? It's a nice T-shirt. But anyway. I think the Bucks win. I think that series goes to 7, so I think it goes back to I think it goes back to Brooklyn after Milwaukee. I'll check the line for that for you guys a little bit. Actually, while I have it open for you people, because I love you so much. The Nets are 5.5-point underdogs. A hat preferred. Lincoln, I'm sorry, we don't have a hat. Again, Miss Guzzi. 5.5-point underdogs. The Nets are tonight going into Milwaukee. So I like the Bucks actually covering that tonight. We'll see how that goes. And then I'll let you guys know about tomorrow. It feels like Friday. I feel like we have been through a long week already, but it ain't. It's only Thursday. My thanks for all of you guys for watching, for listening. Download it on obviously the wherever you get your podcast. Hit subscribe on our YouTube page as well. Much appreciated. Jim Hyden produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. My name is Marc Farzetta here from the Steven Singer Studios. Be back with you guys tomorrow morning. Have a good night, everybody.